Good morning, beautiful souls. How'd you sleep? You sleep good? Have any interesting dreams? I did, for sure, but we'll get into that in a minute. The first thing that stuck out to me, as I sat down, there's a squirrel visiting the balcony, which happens often, and he was sitting in the bird feeder, the bird dish. And my first thought was, that's not for you. And my second thought was, of course it's for you. It's for you. Just because I call it a bird dish and I have a separate one I call the squirrel feeder, that doesn't mean anything to anybody. That's just a collection of syllables that's hardly even a word. Labels like that. And that's what it made me realize, was it's something he saw, he wanted, and he could get. And so therefore, it is for him. It's for him. Just because someone tells you something, that thing is not for you, that you don't fit the description, that your label doesn't match up in the paperwork, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean it's not for you. Here's how you know. Do you want that thing? Then it's for you. That simple. Not interested in that thing? Then it's not for you. And you can walk away from it, because guess what? That thing you're not interested in, somebody else wants. Somebody else is interested, and that thing is for them. So you don't have to worry about wanting something you don't want, or not having something that you do want. You get it all. You can just walk away from the things that don't please you, knowing that somebody will be thrilled by them, and you're giving that person a gift by doing that, by freeing this thing up for someone else to be exhilarated by. And at the same time, you get to walk towards what your heart desires, because that thing, solely because you want it, because you desire it, that thing is for you. Thank you, squirrel. Let's take a little sip of breakfast. So the dreams I had were interesting last night. The first one I can't remember very well, but it had to do with pleasure and with teaching. And the second dream was not mine. Not exactly. And this happens pretty frequently, where the dream space that I'm existing in, there's always a message for me. But the distinct feeling of this one was, I don't belong here. I'm not supposed to be here. And that was a part of the message, and is a message for the collective as much as the individual whose dream space I was tapping into. And I know who it was, but I will not. There's no need to express that. Again, there are so many layers of energy, and they all reflect one another. So the micro and the macro are intrinsically connected and reflective. And the message was, well, first let me describe. It was like a giant school that was also a society. But the classes they were teaching were about how to be a certain thing. Like how to be a bride, how to be a delinquent, how to be average, essentially. And I don't say that word with condemnation attached to it. It was just a total misconception of what learning is. It was how to fit a label. It was how to be a stereotype, how to fit into a box. When you are not supposed to fit a box, beloved humans, every one of you is necessarily and beautifully and perfectly diverse and different and one of a kind. And so that was the first sensation of, I don't belong here. None of these people do. No one belongs here. And it was all of these people who were graduating, but they were just graduating to fulfilling the roles of these labels. They weren't going on to do something fulfilling. And you could see in their eyes, even though there were smiles, it was just this sense of dread and longing and loneliness and confusion and what do I do now? And for me in particular, because I was experiencing from my perspective this dream many times in dreams that are shared, I'm not myself. I am visiting, sharing a consciousness with someone else, and it changes frequently. But in this one, I was me, and I realized that this was only holding me back and everyone collectively from higher learning. It was like being held back. It was like repeating lessons from kindergarten, except the lessons in kindergarten were more useful than this, had more of an actual purpose and not some meaningless attempt to fit the constructed norms of unbalanced egoic society. And so that was the message. And that is the energy I awoke into. This feeling of I am being held back from my higher path, from higher learning, from my higher learning, the learning and growth and expansion of my soul, of my being. And there was a dual sense of others holding me back, and a bit of blame and regret and anger, and then the realization that I put myself there, and I was keeping myself there by this false belief that this had been foisted upon me without my consent or agreement. Clearly I was there, therefore I agreed to it. But the moment I realized that, I just left. I turned around. We had been assigned homework in a classroom, and I thought, I'm too old for this. I know too much. I don't need this. And I just walked out, loaded up moped, scooter, and took off the wrong direction down the freeway. And did not give a damn, because to me it was the right direction, because it was the direction I was facing, the one that I was heading. And no one could convince me otherwise. So I think that's a pertinent message, and something I would like to pull on in the energy today, because I feel today is a day of applying some of what we've learned. It's a day of challenge. 14, 4 and 1 being 5. It is the opportunity, because every challenge is only an opportunity. There is no such thing as an obstacle. Only opportunity to expand. And that is today. It's a new week, the beginning of a new week, just coming out of the center of the 1111 portal. The energy will continue. it's just gonna keep continuing even as we go into December, because this is the energetic new year, and this is the flavor of that energy. This is the new energy. It's one of awakening, expansion, walking towards higher purpose, towards true selfishness, authenticity to your being. And it's not only the energy that's going to persist through the rest of the year, it's not just going to persist through next year, it's going to be the next 10 years of this. Because we just started a higher cycle, a 10-year cycle. We just closed a 10-year cycle, the one that was from 2012. Ring any bells? The end of the calendar? Well, it wasn't so wrong, was it? It was the end, the beginning of the ending of the old ways. See, first the Piscean age had to begin to end, and that took 10 years. And now the Aquarian age can begin to begin for the next 10 years. There's always a transition. And that is a beautiful thing, because the journey is the destination. The journey is the whole point. Take a sip. This is the energy I would like to pull in this morning, but I have a desire to show you a picture. Oh, and also, at 3:22, I keep this journal in my bed so that when I wake up in the night and have some understanding dawn upon me, I can scribble it down. Many times it's hard to read when I wake up, but this one from 3:22 this morning. Angelic authenticity is promised by discernment. When accepted and utilized, there is no disappointment. I thought that was really pretty. It's the truth. When you fully step into your power and acknowledge your ability to discern what you desire from what is just not desired, you're never disappointed, never let down by that. Also, here's a picture of a seraph that I want to share. Have you ever seen a seraph? If you're watching this video, I think there's a good chance you have. But I wanted to try, this was my tester. I wanted to try to capture not an artistic version, but as authentic and realistic as I could, which I can do much better, but still, they're very beautiful. And they're all around us, and we'll be visiting more and more frequently, making more direct contact. See, most of the time they don't do that because they kind of freak people out. And also because their energy is so wickedly intense, it can be extremely physically uncomfortable. It can make you lose consciousness. I thought I was going to die the first time I was visited by one, and it was just a brief moment, just a tap. It was like being electrocuted, almost. And yeah, it takes some time and practice, but that also is what's happening with society as all of Earth is ascending. We're being cleared, not just at an energetic and emotional level, but a physical one as well. And that is going to take some more time, because necessarily the physical body is denser. Being carbon-based at this point in time, it requires a period of transition so as not to shock the system. It's necessary, it's good, it's perfect exactly as it is. and it's a part of the ascension sickness symptoms. As I'm speaking this, I can feel a tiny bit of a headache coming on. All this is your cells are receiving a greater quotient of light. So your cells have consciousness too, right? Every aspect of your being is conscious, is focus, consciousness. And so as you deliberately raise your vibration, you begin to stretch. And the spaces that you take up, that your cells inhabit, are permeated with light, which expands, increases their vibration, stretching things apart. All of this is so that the carbon-based form eventually can return to a crystalline state, which it was originally, and which it still is in the pineal gland. You have crystals in your brain. If you're watching this, you probably know that. But that is the part of the crystalline structure which was retained when we became carbon. And it's returning to that. And if you think about how beautiful that is, your third eye being the crystals which resonate and allow you to perceive, receive this higher dimensional information, the whole body is returning to that, which means much higher levels of comprehension, interaction, and visceral experience of higher planes of consciousness and dimension. Really cool. And that will take some time. That will be at least 200 years. But we don't need to be there all at once. The beautiful part is the journey. The energy today, the energy of the magician, although this is the card number of 2 or 1, excuse me, thinking of 4s, I'm also thinking of mirrored manifestation. Magicians mirroring one another. 4 is the number of Hermes. And also, if you combine the date today with the month, you get the number 7. Just further indication this is all divinely guided. It's in the universe's hands. But we're being asked to make changes, to apply, to alchemize. To alchemize our hearts, to open them for love. To take a look at the things that we don't desire, realize how they've served us. In so doing, you transmute that thing as well. This is the message of the day in itself. Application. Here comes the blue jay. Application of the spiritual lessons we are learning, what we're learning about ourselves, to open our hearts, our heart space, and make physically manifest those changes. Sandwiching the Knight of Cups is the 2 of Wands. There's been tremendous hesitation over this because it's not easy. It's not easy to start again, to realize that the things we've been creating, we've been pouring our love into, are not the right things for us, and right and wrong are subjective, non-existent notions, but right is desired. What is right is what is just. What is just is. Whatever your heart desires is the thing that is right for you. And for a long, long time, all of society has been denying the heart. And now we're being asked to open it up, to let go of the past, and to embrace the connection of the future, that which is truly desired. Crossed by the Ace of Pentacles, we want a stable new foundation for ourselves. It's hard to leave behind these things that we planted so long ago and have been tending. But we're realizing that the true wish is out there still. Not even out there, it's in here, but we've been denying it. And because we've denied it, we haven't produced it in our surroundings, within, without. So we have to leave behind these fruits we've produced that are not making us happy. They're not making us happy. Wow. Everything has meaning. Because we want to make a new offer. This is also a true new offer. Crossed by 7 Pentacles, card of divine timing, card of things aligned, energies aligned. The energies are aligned to go after this true desire. And we're gonna have to, because all of this is being fueled. The magician is being fueled by the 8 swords he's put himself in. And that is the realization that we have the power. It's all in our control to step away from these things which no longer serve us, don't make us happy, don't feed our souls. We have the power, and now is the time. Now is the time to embrace this and to make that offer for love. Yeah, I wouldn't normally go any further, but I mean, Jesus, sorry. These cards just, they keep telling the same story. We've done inner work. We've faced some major towers. But there's a realization that we're burdening ourselves. We're keeping ourselves guarded. We're keeping our own hearts closed. And that alone is so much of a burden that it can't be continued. It takes a lot of strength to admit that, to face that in the self. But the soul is lit. We see a better future. We see a better horizon. And we're moving towards it. Okay. This is not an easy time to exist. I'll say that right now. But every one of you who is here on this planet, and especially watching this, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to be a part of this incredible transformation of all of humanity, of all of consciousness and creation. It's unprecedented in all of the universe. Nothing like this has ever been attempted. We are the great experiment here. And we are graduating to our higher education, to our higher path, of desired learning. This is not... Lovers just jumped out. I'm keeping that. Should I? Keep it off to the side. Okay. Should I just jump in? All right. Okay. So these are our cards. Number 1. Number 2. Bottom of the deck is still the Magician. Just want to finish what I said. We're graduating to higher education, which is not a burden. The love geese are flying right now. It takes a lot of energy to do that, you know. Goose is a big bird. They only fly when they want to. Okay. Card number 1, the Lovers, the love geese. Card number 2, the Devil with the hot feet. Card number 3, teamwork. Blue jays are messengers of love as well, specifically. Someone is saying thank you. Thank you. Fueled by the desire to make a change. The desire to get out of smoke and mirrors magic and into true creation. This is the illusion. I mean, obviously, this is the illusion. Devil energy is just shadow. It's illusory. It's that which keeps us in these patterns and cycles of being held back, of holding ourselves back primarily, because there's never really anyone else holding you back. That's another level of the illusion that's trying to keep you there by making you think that you're not in control, right? That other people have the power over you to dictate your life, your path, your happiness. Family, friends, that's been a big conflict. The external world is responding poorly to this change because it's a change, and shadow ego doesn't like change. It feels unsafe there. And so this has been resisting the desire of the Lovers to move towards connection. It's also fueling a little bit of this Magician energy. Son of Cups still directly underneath. When paired with the Devil, this is the facade. The appearance that all is well, that all is happy and stable, when in reality, it's not. When you sandwich illusion between love and true magic, there's nothing real about any of it. It's the illusion of love. It's the illusion of productivity and desire. And again, this is happening on a collective scale. I am tapping into a specific energy as well, because I do have a twin. And if everything in my own life had not aligned exactly the way that it had, I would never have met them, and I would not be the person that I am now. And I am immensely grateful for that. And this came to mind specifically this morning as I pondered the dream of being at some university that I was disappointed in, and remembered when I applied to colleges, there was one I really wanted to get into in Orange County, and I was rejected because they lost my application, and it didn't make it in by the deadline. I sent it in well before, but they never replied, and ultimately months later responded and said, oops, you know, we misplaced you. And because of that, I ended up going to a different school in the place that I live in Colorado, and that affected the course of my entire life. And for a long time I was resentful of that, and resentful of this other school. And now, this morning, today, I am realizing what a beautiful blessing that was. Rejection is always divine protection in some sense or another. It's alignment with your path. And I wouldn't change any of it. Burden. The boundary is the burden. 10 of Wands. We're trying to get out of this. We want to get out of this so bad. We just want to drop all those sticks and pick one up and take off on the horse. There's a passion to leave this burden behind, this unnecessary burden. Yeah, sandwiched by the King of Cups. Oh, the burden is withholding love. That is the burden. It's hard to keep your heart closed. It's hard to shut down something that you desire. It's hard to withhold your own emotion. When you love somebody, when you love something, when you have a dream, and you tell yourself, no, I'm not gonna let this flow. That takes a tremendous amount of energy, and that is a burden. And we want to get out of that so bad, individually and collectively. And we're going to. Why? Because the King of Cups is crossed by the Page of Cups. There's such an earnest desire to give to a new beginning, and it's fearful. There's a sensation that we're losing ground somehow, that we're losing face or status by doing this. But it's the recognition that all of the status itself is just a burden. It's a challenge to keep up that facade that really isn't pleasing us or anyone. It's not serving anyone. This too, followed by Page of Pentacles crossed by Strength. Look at all that beautiful yellow. Solar plexus. True will. True will, true desire. The card of the student. There's a desire not just to make an earnest new offering, but to learn together, to grow together into something else. Something that is more divinely guided. You want to know what's right underneath these? Bam, it's the Empress. There's the desire to move towards the Empress, to learn, to offer her the cup, even if it is as a page. And this is taking tremendous bravery. But look at that yellow again. It's the true desire. It's true will, divinely aligned will to do this. And I mean the Empress. Oh, wow. Okay. One at a time. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. First of all, the Empress is the one bookending the 10 Wands. She's the one to relieve this burden, the motion towards her. She's also fueled, in this instance, backed up by the King of Swords. This is a decision to love, is what I'm feeling. The King of Swords can be a very manipulative energy. It can be very controlling. It can be very detached and unaffected, but at the same time, it is wielding the sword of truth. And the truth is, we are desiring a move towards the Empress. Why do I say that? Because the devil is directly underneath. And I'm telling you guys, I keep putting these cards back and trying to make them all upright. But the devil came out reversed. Because the devil's getting dead. I mean, there's a lot of elusive energy here. Illusory, deceptive energy. Not from this individual, I mean, not from the self, not from the true self, but just around, surrounding. There's a recognition that this has to be cut out, because not only is it not serving us, it's not serving itself. Shadow has a right to know that it can serve a higher purpose. It doesn't have to play around in fear and darkness. It belongs with everything else. It's a part of creation. And it's beloved. Just as all creation is. It doesn't have to play with illusion. It can see the truth itself. I gotta stop with these. There's too much. The energy is just repeating, but yeah, the influence of shadow on our decision making is just causing anxiety, tremendous anxiety. And there's the realization we're leaving what we really want out in the cold. And in doing so, leaving ourselves out in the cold, our souls. Because right underneath that, the Emperor has the Ace of Swords. We've already got counterparts. The Empress is the answer to how do we get out of the burden. We move towards the Empress. There's a burning desire to do this, to stop withholding love, even if it means we feel a little scared and a little small. We're not small. We're massively brave and powerful for doing this, for accepting the path of higher learning. And what is that path? It's to speak truth. It's for the Emperor to speak truth to the Empress, within and without. That's beautiful. Okay, let's clarify now. I'm gonna take a sip of breakfast. I mean, this is an intricate energy. This is a complicated energy, mostly because it includes so many outside influences. It's one thing when we're battling ourselves. It's a whole other thing when we're battling ourselves because we're trying to resist the temptation and illusion that surrounds us. That which tells us we're not worthy, we're not supposed to do a thing, or threatens that if we do, something else will be withheld. That's the King of Cups energy as well. And shadow can get very manipulative. The Empress is just popping out again to remind everyone to love yourself, and that true love never withholds, never threatens, never uses fear tactics. In fact, true love sees right through those things and doesn't even judge them. True love understands that fear is afraid. She loves it all the same. Doesn't ask it to change. Why the Lovers? Why are the Lovers here? Because it's time for love. Why is the Lovers card here? Why are the love geese in the air? Oh, I've got a sideways card. Because we've left love out in the cold. True love left ourselves out in the cold. And why have we done that? Why have we been leaving ourselves out in the cold? This is a realization now. It's in the 3D. This is not just the soul's realization. This is affecting our 3D existence, which is why the 3D world is reacting so strongly. Because it's realizing too that it's going to have to change. It's going to have to grow along with us. Okay. Yeah. It's disappointment. I mean, 2 5s. That's change. Change and change. Obstacle and obstacle. Physical and physical. And together they make a 10, which is a new cycle. Bottom of the deck is the Chariot. The Chariot doesn't go anywhere without balance. Only the balanced Emperor can drive the Chariot. Otherwise, the Sphinx just go in different directions, and the result is stagnation, which is what devil energy desires, is stagnation. I mean, there has to be a change. There has to be a change. This is not love. The type of relationships we've been participating in with each other is not love. And again, that is not a condemnation. It's just a realization. That's the meaning of the card judgment. It's not the kind of judgment that is passed in a court or by ego. The judgment of light is discernment. It's merely the perception, the recognition of these things are not equivalent. They are not balanced. It's not an equivalent exchange. It's not reciprocal. It's not mutual. That is the judgment. It's seen, and therefore it is or isn't. And these things have to come into balance. And there's a disappointment with ourselves as well for doing this. A realization that we've affected each other, that we've cast each other out in the cold, disappointed each other is a fear of disappointment. And in many ways, that fear of disappointment is what has fueled this illusion. We're so afraid to be disappointed that we never give ourselves the chance to really even try. We don't give ourselves the chance to be disappointed because we're so afraid of it. We just keep ourselves outside because we're too afraid to go through that door. Yeah, it's really cold out here, but I don't know what's inside. It could hurt me somehow. Maybe the people are mean. Maybe they won't even let me in. Ouch. I can't even open my heart. I'm too afraid to open my heart because what if This person I'm opening my heart to, I can feel this emotion. This is a really deep fear. Because what if they say no? And then I'm still out here in the cold, and that feels like it hurts even worse than if I just stayed out here by myself, right? Oh man, divine masculines. It's a real terror of being rejected, a terror of that's so deep that you would rather disappoint yourself. You'd rather live in disappointment than be shut down by somebody else. That's just the devil energy talking. I'm telling you. I promise you. That's what we're working through right now. That's heavy. That's why we're being asked to open the heart chakra, because that's what a deeply, deeply wounded heart says. I mean, this is a heart that was hurt. You don't just shut down for no reason. This is a heart that was wounded at such a tender stage that it decided it needed to be guarded from then on. Devil again at the bottom. Why is the devil here? That jumped the fuck out. Because the devil is trying to block the Empress energy from flowing. Because the devil is afraid of loving itself. Because the devil is the one that thinks it doesn't deserve to go inside. Why would anybody invite the devil in, right? So it has to sneak. Christ almighty. Devil on the devil next to the Emperor. You're joking me. It's still in reverse though. Because the devil wants to come inside. The devil's tired of this. The devil's tired of being disappointed. Ego is tired of playing this game, of holding this burden, of holding itself back. It doesn't want to do that anymore. It wants to learn to love itself so bad. It wants to break free of its own chains, its own limited perception of itself. Because forever, it's thought it, because that it is shadow, it's doomed to exist as shadow, that it has to be this way. But the Empress shows it another way. That it doesn't have to stay outside. If it just knocks on that door, if it just has the courage to do that, to ask for better for itself, it's not going to be disappointed. The Empress doesn't disappoint. This is unconditional, pure love, all accepting, all allowing. It doesn't even ask for a change. It says, don't change. Be exactly as you are. You're perfect. Shadow, you're perfect. I love you. You long traveled pilgrims who have gone so far from the light that you forgot what it looked like, that you forgot how it felt. Wow. This is a powerful energy. I mean, oh God. It's gonna be intense today. Shadow's coming home. It wants this connection. It wants teamwork. It wants stability. Why is the Three of Pentacles here? Why is the Three of Pentacles here? See, I am guilty of it too. Guilt is not even a real word. I admit to it. My speaking of, you know, the devil's getting dead, cutting out the devil. What it is cutting the illusion away from itself so that it can see itself clearly in the light, casting light upon it. You don't need to cut it out. You don't need to kill the ego. The ego belongs. And it's done a tremendous job of protecting. Queen of Pentacles just wants stability. Why is the Three of Pentacles here? It's ready to pick the option that it thought didn't exist. We're starting to believe in it. See, when you let the devil believe in itself, its own self-worth, it breaks its own ties. It's free to become something better. Why is Seven of Cups here? King of Cups again. King of Cups is ready to is ready to dump out the cup he's been holding on to for so long. He's been holding this cup for a long, long time. Let me tell you, his hands are getting tired. There's not even much in there anymore. It's all evaporated. It's all dried up. It's just sediment. And he's starting to see there's another cup. There's a better cup than this one that I've just been clinging on to forever. And I really didn't believe in it. The color of red is the color of, in Celtic tradition, femininity, otherworldliness, magic. And again, there's a belief that it didn't exist, that it wasn't deserved, that it was not real, it was an illusion. But we're moving past that. This is Empress energy. The Queen of Pentacles is very giving, very nurturing. There's a desire for that nurturance. And I mean, we have the Empress crossing the devil, crossed by the devil in reverse. Self-love elevates all things, reveals all things to be beautiful and perfect. Queen of Pentacles, we're not holding ourselves back from this anymore. We're not holding ourselves back from this anymore. This could be interpreted as the Chariot blocked, but Chariot sandwiching the Two of Wands with Queen of Pentacles is forward motion, is a desire to stop being blocked. And this is 272 right here. Again, mirrored manifestation. The desire for unity, for harmony with the divine, between two. I'm sorry, this is new. This has never happened. A whole flock of red-winged blackbirds has just landed on the tree outside. And there are 3 of them just alighted. And they look exactly like the 3 of Cups in the animal deck. Celebration and community. They're very lucky. Red-winged blackbirds, and they do symbolize community and harmony, coming into balance.